Yeah, man, this is crazy. I mean, no sports. I think school just got canceled for like 6 weeks out here in Washington. So, man, just wild times we're living in, huh? Yeah. But hey, guess that gives us plenty of time to play Call of Duty, you know? So, what do you want to do? You want to do search? You want to do team deathmatch? Who the heck are you? I'm you. You're me? I'm you. What? Wait a minute. If you're me, then who am I? Wait a minute. Did the corona get me? Relax. You're fine. You're still you, but I'm also you. Ah, I get it. We're basically copying the whole Peter McKinnon and Squarespace Pete thing, huh? Wait a minute. Did I get sponsored by Squarespace? Oh, child, don't be foolish. The Squarespace version of you only appears once you actually have an audience and people watch your video. Yes. I mean, did you see your last video? Night photography fail or whatever the heck you called it? Really just blew right by the old YouTube algorithm on that one, didn't you? Well, that's not very nice. I mean, no, it didn't do great. It didn't get the most amount of views, but that's probably just because I tried something different for a change, and I tried to actually vlog, and you know, the people weren't ready for it. That's probably what it was. Yeah, it's probably because it sucked. All right, man, why don't you just calm the frick down? So, if you're not here for Squarespace, then what do you want? I'm here to remind you of a little commitment that you made. Does something about 50 YouTube videos this year ring any bells to you? Oh yeah, well, you know, I still plan on doing all that, just been busy. Really busy. One sec. Yeah, hold on, guys, I'll be on in just a sec. Some weirdo just walked into my house, so give me a sec. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess not right at this moment, but I mean, bro, you've been there. The last 2 weeks have been pretty busy, but yeah. So you're saying, I guess not right at this moment. So what are you waiting for? Nothing. I mean, yeah, nothing. I guess I have no excuse, so you know what? I'll get started right now. Thanks, man. You know what? I needed this. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Don't thank me. In fact, don't even talk to me. Shut up. Get to work. I love you. Get to work. All right, my man. All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome to another video. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for putting up with my antics at the beginning of this video. Yeah, just wanted to have a little fun. Feel like we could all use a little just light-hearted entertainment these days especially. So anyways, thank you for watching. Yes, I have been absent, been on a slight 2-week hiatus. A slight 2-week hiatus, and not as long as the NBA though, am I right? Okay, sorry, no more jokes. And by the way, I don't mean to offend anybody out there. I'm just, again, trying to make some lighthearted humor and comedy out of all this. But anyways, today in this video, I'm gonna go over my personal custom Cine 2 picture profile settings, which I think are, at least for me, they are the best picture profile settings that I have found for Sony a7 III, a7R3, a7R4, a6600, a6400, and then is it the A6100? Is that the other? Yeah, I think so. Okay. So basically any Sony camera that has come out in the last 2 years, this picture profile will work perfectly for you. Not to say that this won't work on the older Sony cameras like the 6300, 6500, A7 II, A7S II, all those. But there is a slight change in the color science that Sony came out with in 2018. So that, and I'm shooting on an A7 III. So anyways, just keep all of that in mind. But yeah, let's just hop right into it and I'll go through, you know what, actually, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's a screenshot of my picture profile settings. And now that we got that out of the way, I'm actually gonna take you through each layer of the settings. That way, just to try and explain it to you so you're not just copying and pasting something, but you're actually understanding why I tweaked the settings to the way that I did. So, got the camera right here. And yeah, if you wanna follow along with me. And I just set this to picture profile 1, by the way. It does not matter which picture profile you set this to. For me, 1 is obviously just the first one that I can choose from. So that's why I use that one. So anyways, first setting is the black level. I put mine at +8. Now, what black level does, basically, it's not self-explanatory, but it is what it says it's doing. It's either raising or crushing your black level, meaning the more in the positive numbers you're going, the blacks in your image are going to turn more gray, and the more in the negative that you go for that number, the more those blacks are going to be, you know, really crushed, pure black. Now, the reason I set mine at +8 is because I do like having that kind of simulated filmic faded look to my images, but also I found that raising the black level helps out immensely for low light, which yeah, is a huge reason that I have it set to this. But anyways, we'll move on. Next is the gamma. I'm using Cine 2, obviously, and I've used a ton of picture profile, a ton of different gammas in the past, whether it be S-Log, HLG2, Cine 4, you name it. I've basically have at least tried it. For me, I really like the image that comes out of Cine 2, so that's the one that I've been using. Black gamma, I set the range to wide, the level to +5. Now this is basically very similar to the black level, and I don't know enough of the science behind it to give you a great description and understanding at what the black gamma does, but basically, at least to my understanding, it's very similar to the black level. And so again, I set mine to wide and I put it at +5, and I feel like the fadedness, that's not a word, but you know what I'm saying. I just feel like what you know, when I kind of play around with it, that gives me a really good image. Now, knee, your knee, I don't know why they call it this. Well, actually, I think this is technically what you call it, like in cinema cameras or whatever, but the knee basically is your highlights. And so first thing I do is I set my mode to manual, and then I go to manual set, where I can actually change the point and the slope. And I'm not the best person, again, to talk about all the science and this and that, but basically your knee is going to determine your highlight roll off that you have. So highlight roll off means Google knows. So according to Google, and yes, this is much better explanation than what I was about to do, highlight roll off is basically the transition from the most extreme, brightest, most pure white part of your image. And obviously what you want is a nice soft highlight roll off, meaning basically any parts that are overexposed in your image, if you have any, you want like the transition to be like, okay, exposed, exposed, overexposed, you know, a nice like smooth roll off. What you don't want is exposed, exposed, overexposed, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but highlight roll off, look it up, Google knows. I set my point to 80% and my slope to +2. I pulled these settings actually from Cody Blue, and I've tried a lot of different combinations of numbers there, but I definitely like the 80% and +2. Next, the color mode. I choose Pro. There are a ton of color modes that you can do, and actually Sony usually recommends choosing the cinema when you're using any of the Cine profiles, which kind of makes sense. But for me, the Pro looks nicer than the cinema. In my opinion, the Pro has a little bit more of a magenta tint and hue to the image, whereas the cinema has a little bit more of a green, which either one is fine, but for me, I like the Pro. Saturation, I set mine to -3. Now, Cine 2 is already desaturated and decontrasted. It doesn't have as much contrast in it, but I like to have my saturation even reduce a little bit more. I don't know. I really love the idea of like shooting in a super flat log picture profile, but you know, not quite technically being log. So I go -3 on that. Color phase I leave at 0, and color phase is basically changes the tint or the hue or whatever you want to call it. So if you go, I believe if you go in the positive numbers on color phase, you're shifting your image to be more magenta, and if you go negative, you're shifting the image to be more green. I just keep mine at 0 because I like the way that looks. All right, next is color depth, and this is actually where you're gonna start impacting a lot of the color of your image straight out of camera. Now, color depth basically controls the luminance value of each color, meaning the more in the positive that you go, the darker color is gonna come through, and the more negative that you go, the brighter that color is gonna be. Now, if you know anything just about kind of color editing, when you decrease the luminance, meaning you make your color darker, you're actually adding more saturation into those colors. And then when you increase the luminance, meaning you bring those colors brighter, you're actually decreasing the saturation. Still with me? So with that in mind, I go red +2, green +2, because I like those colors to be a little darker, a little more rich. Then I go blue at -4 and cyan at -2, because I like my blues to be less saturated and brighter. Magenta, I go +2, and yellow, I go -3. And then the last thing is detail. I just keep mine at -7 for 4K shooting. And then when I use 1080p, whether it be 60 frames a second or 120 frames per second, I keep my detail at -4. So anywho, that is my picture profile. That is my Cine 2 picture profile settings. I hope this video helped you in some way. I would love to see some of the images that you're able to get from this picture profile. If you use this picture profile and you make a video, tag me in it if it's on Instagram, or leave a comment down below with the link to your video, and yeah, I would love to see what you guys come up with. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll be back on again next week, and so until then, see you in the next video. All right, so believe it or not, I actually wrote out an entire script for this whole little dumb skit thing, so I want to make sure I follow it so it all makes sense.